Hello and welcome to my channel. In this video I'm going to talk about 10 verses from Surah Baqarah, the cow. Basically I'm just going to go through in English and then go through a little bit of a commentary of what sort of these verses mean and how we can apply this wisdom in our daily lives. So without further ado, I will get started by reading verse 261 and I'll go through to verse 270. So, أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. The parable of those who spend their substance in the way of God is that of a grain of corn. It grows 7 ears, and each ear has 100 grains. God gives manifold increase to whom He pleases, and God cares for all, and He knows all things. So basically, when we sow deeds with Allah, they multiply, and this is sort of what we gain from our understanding as Muslims. That when we do deeds sincerely, God multiplies and multiplies and multiplies these rewards that we have with Allah. So that's essentially what this verse is telling us. Now the next verse. Those who spend their substance in the cause of God and follow not up their gifts with reminders of their generosity or with injury, for them their reward is with their Lord, on them shall be no fear, nor shall they grieve. So essentially, when we give a charity, we shouldn't remind others how generous we are, because this essentially brings the loop back to us as who we are doing the deed for. If we're doing the deed for ourselves, we want others to think that we are kind and generous and sort of a good person. But if we're doing the deed sincerely for the sake of Allah, we don't follow up with reminders of how kind we are, because we don't want a reward from our good deeds. Essentially, we want a reward from Allah, right? So that's what this verse is telling us. Now the next verse. Kind words and the covering of faults are better than charity followed by injury. God is free of all wants and He is most forbearing. So essentially, this is just telling us the degree of deeds with God. So kind words and the covering of faults. Two things that don't come naturally to the human. We essentially, it's easier to say a mean word, and it's easier to remember someone's faults. But if we can speak words of kindness and cover the shortcomings of others, this is better than sort of giving a charity and then following this up with something mean, sort of cancelling out the good deed, right? So that's essentially what this verse is saying. Now the next verse. O you who believe, cancel not your charity by reminders of your generosity or by injury, like those who spend their substance to be seen of men, but believe neither in God nor in the last day. They are in a parable like a hard barren rock on which is a little soil. On it falls heavy rain, which leaves it just a bare stone. They will be able to do nothing with aught they have earned, and God guides not those who reject faith. So again, this sort of tells us the same thing that it told us earlier in this surah, just now, that we shouldn't give charity and then remind of our generosity, because this is sort of characteristic of those who are doing things for the sake of themselves and not for the sake of God, right? And this also gives a parable, I guess, when the rain that comes to sort of fertilize this ground, it sort of washes away all the goodness, because we've sowed the deed in such a hard sort of reality, such as the concept of self. Whereas if we were to sow the deed with God, it would be enduring and it would last a lot longer than if we had sort of hoped for rewards sort of in and of itself, not directly from Allah. So that's essentially what this verse is saying. And the next verse, and the likeness of those who spend their substance seeking to please God and to strengthen their souls is as a garden high and fertile. Heavy rain falls on it, but makes it yield a double increase of harvest. And if it receives not heavy rain, light moisture suffices it. God sees well whatever you do. So this just carries on from the metaphor, essentially. So those who seek to please Allah, and to strengthen their souls, so to do a good deed in order to better their character, for example. When it sort of gets fertilized by Allah or by whatever the forces may be, it yields a double increase of harvest. So it's essentially on a fruitful plane, because we did the deed sincerely and to please God, and this is when our deeds are fruitful, essentially. And if it doesn't receive a heavy rain, I guess whatever that means, it will still yield a harvest, even when it's only received just a little bit of goodness. It'll still yield a good return, right? So that's essentially what this verse is saying. Now the next verse. Does any of you wish that he should have a garden with date palms and vines and streams flowing underneath and all kinds of fruits, while he is stricken with old age and his children are not strong enough to look after themselves, that it should be caught up in a whirlwind with a fire therein and be burnt up? Thus does God make clear to you his signs that you may consider. So I guess what this verse is saying is, imagine if we do all our deeds for the sake of this life. That's essentially like if we have such a beautiful garden, but it only exists in the present life, and then if it's caught up in a whirlwind and a fire burns it up, what are we going to do with all of our goods in this life? It's essentially only temporal, but when we sow deeds with Allah, this is enduring, and this is a reward that, God willing, will endure longer than just this present life, right? So that's that verse. Now the next verse. O you who believe, give of the good things which you have honorably earned, and the fruits of the earth which we have produced for you, and do not even aim at getting anything which is bad, in order that out of it you may give away something, when you yourselves would not receive it except with closed eyes, and know that God is free of all wants and worthy of all praise. So I guess give of the good things which you have honorably earned. So give of the things that you have earned out of honest trade, I guess. Don't sort of try to earn something in an impermissible way and say, look, well, I'm going to make up for it by giving some of it away in charity. No. You should earn the thing honorably first and then give away what you've earned honorably. Don't seek to gain sort of in an illicit manner and then sort of give away something from that. It's all spoiled essentially to begin with. So what use is this in charity when it's earned in a dishonorable way, right? So that's what that verse is saying. Now the next verse. The evil one threatens you with poverty and bids you to conduct unseemly. God promises you his forgiveness and bounties, and God cares for all and he knows all things. So I guess basically the evil one, the devil essentially, threatens us with poverty. So whatever whispers we might get, whatever sort of delusions that we might have, they're sort of there to sort of try and fool us into dealing dishonestly. But if we deal with Allah and honest conduct and with good character, God will promise both forgiveness for whatever shortcomings we have and bounties as well. So endless rewards, right? And so basically engage in honest trade. That's what this verse is saying. Now the next verse. He grants wisdom to whom he pleases, and he to whom wisdom is granted receives indeed a benefit overflowing, but none will grasp the message but men of understanding. So this is interesting. This is sort of a Quranic concept that I am always grappling with as a believer, right? So when it says here that he grants wisdom to whom he pleases, this means that in an instant, this wisdom, this goodness, this hikmah, this sort of this goodness, essentially, that Allah has bestowed upon a man of understanding, this can be taken away at any moment because Allah guides whom he wills, right? So basically, we should be grateful for these things. And and none will grasp the message but men of understanding. So men who fear God, and men who see the wisdom of God's creation in everything, right? So that's that verse. Now the last verse. And whatever you spend in charity or devotion, be sure God knows it all, but the wrongdoers have no helpers. So basically, I guess, keep it in your hearts that you're doing these things, these deeds of charity for Allah. And when it comes to seeking a reward from God, don't sort of shy away and say, look, maybe I'm doing it for this reason, maybe I'm doing it for this other reason. Be sure in yourself and know that when you sow a deed of sadaqah with Allah, then you should, right? But the wrongdoers have no helpers. So those who are stingy or miserly with their wealth, they are essentially not going to have a good reward. So that's 10 verses from 261 to 270. Hopefully you're gaining something from this. Nothing too sort of extraneous, if that's a word, to be sort of gained from these reminders, but it's sort of just a clear reminder and sort of a balanced understanding of how I see what these verses mean, and sort of putting it into sort of just an easy way to understand, right? If anyone doesn't understand what these verses mean, this is sort of guiding us in the right direction. So hopefully this helps, and thank you. Stay tuned for more. Cheers.